There's so much to talk about, but let's start with the immediate, what's going on right now. We're in the middle of an election. It's not over yet, not clear where it's going to come out. I think there are some indications of what's going to happen. As an investor, as you look at this, where are the challenges? Where are the opportunities? Because you always find the opportunities.
Well, I'm not sure I know the answer quite yet as to what the opportunities are. I think the result, frankly, for the country to basically come out, quote unquote, even as opposed to a wave going the other way, is kind of a reflection of how lucky we somehow or always turn out to be. I think that this kind of an election in perhaps a president like Joe Biden, who's focused on quote unquote, making deals and compromise, might be a very positive outcome for the country going forward, which would translate into a commercial environment activity that would be, much better than what might have been that people could have been afraid of had, some of the more vociferous left parts of the Democratic Party gain more power.
Are you concerned about backing off? If in fact, and we're not sure that's going to happen yet, if in fact Vice President Biden is elected, and we don't have in former years of Donald Trump, are you concerned about deregulation? Are you concerned about further tax cuts?
Well, I think that the Obama administration was probably the most regulated administration that we've ever had. I think that the first 4 years of Trump probably brought a lot of those regulations back to, let's say, equilibrium. I would expect that a Biden administration would be more pro-regulation, but perhaps less so than what occurred during the Obama years.
Sam, we've had a rough year, I think it's fair to say, in 2020. I mean, we've had a pandemic, the biggest one by far for 100 years. We've had the severe economic downturn in the course of that. We've had disturbances, civil disturbances in some cities around the country. What has this done specifically in the real estate area? You're really known for your success and how astute you are in real estate. What has it done specifically for real estate as an investment?
Well, obviously, you've seen, a tremendous increase in the interest in suburban locations. You've seen, we're probably, among the largest central business district owners of residential in the country. And we've seen, particularly in New York and San Francisco, significant reduction in demand. In New York, it's more a question of price. So as prices have come down, demand has increased. In San Francisco, you have an environment that's more difficult, and I think that's in effect putting people who previously fought for a place to live in San Francisco being able to work from a more remote location. Perhaps you could argue that this has certainly done a lot to increase the pace of conversion to e-tail and retail on the net. And I think it's fair to say that probably January 1, 21 in 2021 is probably going to be equal to where we thought we were going to be in 2025. So the lockdown and the pandemic has certainly accelerated the movement, an increase in retail online. There's a lot of discussion today about change in office activity going forward, and higher percentage of offices operating remotely. I'm pretty skeptical of that. I tend to believe that we're social animals and that we perform best when we're stimulated by other human beings. I think that you can be remote in nowhere, Iowa, but at 5 o'clock, there's no place to go, as opposed to living in New York or Chicago or San Francisco. At the same time, we've seen an explosion in distribution real estate. Probably the most best performing part of real estate today, although I would be a little much warning and say that, this is probably the least sophisticated form of real estate creation. Therefore, the barrier to access is by far the least in that area. Then you can look at hospitality, and hospitality is looking at a catastrophe, the likes of which it's never seen. It lived through 9/11, it lived through the Great Recession, but it's never lived through a period where demand is literally shut down at the level that it's currently shut down. Just like a lot of small businesses and small restaurants, I don't think will reopen. I think in the same way, we're going to see a real attrition in the number of hotels that are functioning going forward. Hotels are very unique forms of real estate. They have very, very high, kind of minimum operating cost levels. And therefore, leaving the door open at, say, 7% occupancy is really, really pretty awful. At the same time, we're not suffering. The country is not doing anywhere near as badly as the newspapers are headlining, and consequently, I think that the overall demand factors are going to help the country move forward accordingly. I mean, look at single-family homes. It's a form of real estate where literally we've gone from slow market to very rapid market, and obviously the fact that we're dealing with interest rates as low as they've ever been are pretty significant.